Oradour Sur Glane, a name seared into French consciousness. It was here that an act of extreme wickedness was carried out, one of the worst atrocities of World War II. Life was violently and suddenly interrupted on June the 10th, 1944. I've been to so many places over the years in order to make these short films, and loads of those locations are memorable for a whole load of reasons. But I think when I look back from the end of this journey, this place that I went to recently to tell this story may be the one that I remember the most, because it was so harrowing and it had such a massive impact on me. It doesn't seem the right thing for me to say I hope you enjoy it, but I really hope that it impacts you in the way that it did me. Renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Repair the broken walls. Restore the streets and houses. At 2 p.m. on that summer's day, terror visited these streets. In 4 horrific hours, every building was torched, and most of the town's population were executed. 450 men and women and 193 children lost their lives. The tram tracks are still in the road, and the derelict remains of houses, workshops, shops and medical facilities can still be identified. A doctor's car stands abandoned close to where the children's playground once stood. It was on that spot that the men of the town were led into 6 barns. The machine guns were waiting for them. Further down the road stands the ruin of St. Martin's Church. It was here that the women and children were led before the place was set on fire with incendiaries. Anyone who tried to escape was mercilessly gunned down. Churches mean different things to different people. For some of us, they are places of personal prayer and spiritual encounter, but for others, they are a reminder of the childhood religious indoctrination that they'd rather forget. But not many of us associate churches with acts of horrific violence. Acts of cruelty were carried out all over Europe during the dark days of World War II. Thousands of men and women rose up to carry out coordinated acts of sabotage against the occupying forces. Roads were blocked, bridges were destroyed, and vital communication lines were broken, hindering the German advance north to the Normandy beaches, where 150,000 British, American and Canadian troops had landed on D-Day just 4 days before the massacre here at Oradour. It's never fully been understood why this sleepy French town was chosen. Some reports suggest that the soldiers took a wrong turn at the crossroads and this was not the planned destination at all. Somehow it almost adds to the tragedy. Whatever the truth is, the massacre of Oradour served as a chilling reminder to resistance fighters and their families as to what would happen to anyone who was caught fighting for the wrong side. The officer that authorised this despicable crime is buried in the German war cemetery in Normandy, along with over 21,000 troops who served in Hitler's armies. The vast majority, of course, had no interest in either genocide or war. Not so the 200 men that were selected for this particular mission at Oradour. They were a detachment of the 2nd Waffen-SS Panzer Division Das Reich, made up of ruthless killers loyal to the Nazi ideology. Many had been radicalised through the Hitler Youth programme and then battle-hardened during the fighting on the Eastern Front. In a time when the horrors of war are so often censored, sanitised and even airbrushed out of the historical record, this place and this story removes any convenient amnesia of what is possible when mankind rejects any moral absolute and descends into the pit of hatred. The silent ruins of Oradour Sur Glane tell a story of unspeakable sorrow, but there's also a whisper here of a better way to live, a way of hope, peace, and reconciliation. I think I heard it as I walked through the desolate streets of this place, and especially as I stood in the ruins of St. Martin's Church. As a Christian, it's impossible for me to be here without connecting with the stories and the accounts of Jesus, the times when he stood alongside the innocent victims of cruelty and wickedness, and of course his brutal death on the cross for the sum total of human depravity. The words that I recounted at the start of this story are taken from the book of Isaiah in the Bible. It's a heart cry for an end to devastation and desolation, not just of bricks and mortar, but of people's lives. On the orders of General Charles de Gaulle, this place was never rebuilt, and it never will be. It stands as a memorial to a community that was wiped out in an afternoon, a community whose ancestors had lived here for over 1,000 years. I don't think I will ever forget my visit to Oradour. I really hope not. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. There's a couple of other short films that I've made that are also about churches that were caught up in war. The first one is in Normandy, a place called Cemetry. It's a D-Day story when the American paratrooper got caught on the steeple of a church. The second one is a church in Oosterbeek in the Netherlands that was caught up in the Battle of Arnhem. The links to those films are in the comments below. If you want to hear more from me, you know what to do, and I will see you next time. God bless.